I texted my wife, "Send me your location." She ignored it, so I tracked her phone, found her at her ex's house, arrived with the police, and filed for divorce the next morning. My name is Ethan, and until that night, I truly believed I had built the perfect life. For 4 years, I woke up every morning thinking I was the luckiest man in the world. My wife, Lily, was beautiful, smart, and warm-hearted. At least, that's what I thought. We had been married for 2 years, living in a cozy little house that we decorated together. Every photo on the wall told a story. Every memory felt like a promise. We were supposed to be a team, but love can be deceptive. Sometimes, the person you share a bed with can also be the person who destroys your peace bit by bit. Looking back, I should have noticed the signs. The way she'd suddenly guard her phone like it was a secret vault. The random nights she'd stay late at work. The new perfume she claimed her coworker recommended. But love makes you blind. And I wanted to believe her. That Friday evening started like any other. I was driving home after a long day at work, listening to our favorite playlist. I remember smiling when a song she loved came on. A song we danced to the night we got married. I grabbed my phone and texted her, "Hey babe, I'm heading home. Want me to grab dinner on the way?" She replied about 15 minutes later, "Don't worry, I'm still at work. Might be late tonight." First, it sounded normal, but something about the tone felt cold. She usually added a heart emoji or said, "Love you." This time, nothing. Just words. Flat. Distant. I tried ignoring the uneasy feeling crawling through my chest. Maybe she really was busy. Maybe she was just tired. But my gut whispered otherwise. I drove home, cooked something simple, and waited. The clock kept ticking. 9 o'clock came, then 10. No call, no message. I texted again. "Hey, still working? Send me your location. I'll bring you coffee." I waited. Nothing. The dots never appeared. No typing. That's when my heart began to race. Something inside me knew this wasn't right. I tried to convince myself that I was overthinking, that she was just busy or her phone died. But deep down, I knew the truth I didn't want to face. Something was very wrong. I remember sitting on the couch, staring at her last message, feeling my hands tremble. The air felt heavy. My thoughts were loud. I opened the phone tracker app we installed months ago, something we used for safety whenever we traveled alone. I never thought I'd use it out of suspicion. When I opened it, I expected to see her location near her office downtown. Instead, the blue dot was on the other side of the city. My breath hitched. I zoomed in on the map, trying to understand what I was seeing. The address looked oddly familiar. Took me a few seconds before it hit me like a thunderbolt. It was her ex-boyfriend's address. My hands started shaking so badly that I nearly dropped my phone. My mind went blank for a moment, then flooded with memories. All the times she mentioned him casually. All the times I caught her smiling at old photos before she quickly locked her screen. I remembered asking once, "Do you still talk to him?" And she'd laughed it off. "Of course not, Ethan. He's in the past." But the past was apparently very much present. I sat there for a long moment, numb. Then anger took over. I grabbed my keys and left. I don't even remember locking the door. My heart was beating so hard it felt like it would break through my chest. Every red light felt like a personal attack. Every minute felt like an hour. I kept replaying every lie she ever told me. Every late meeting. Every girls' night. Every don't wait up. When I finally turned onto the street, I saw it. Her car, parked right outside his house. I stopped a few houses away, turned off the engine, and just sat there. The sight of her car sitting in front of that house burned into my mind. I could see the living room lights on. I didn't want to believe what my heart already knew. I wanted to believe there was another explanation. Maybe she dropped something off. Maybe it was a quick visit. But no matter how I spun it, nothing made sense. Then I saw movement through the window. 2 figures. A man and a woman. Her hair, her silhouette. I knew it was her. I saw him reach for her, and that was it. My chest tightened so much I could barely breathe. I couldn't hear anything, but I knew. She was laughing, smiling, comfortable. That's when my calm snapped. I could have stormed up to that door. I could have smashed the glass, screamed, made a scene. But I didn't want drama. I wanted justice. I took a deep breath, grabbed my phone, and called the police. When they answered, I explained everything. That my wife's car was parked outside her ex's house, that I believed she was cheating, that she was lying about her whereabouts. The dispatcher listened and sent a patrol car. I waited in my car, heart pounding, hands trembling. When the police arrived, they walked up to the door and knocked. I watched from a distance. Seconds later, the door opened. My wife appeared, hair messy, wearing a large shirt that clearly wasn't hers. Her eyes went wide when she saw the officers, and then she saw me. Her face lost all color. She tried to speak, but one of the officers asked her to step outside. Her ex tried to argue, saying, "We're just talking," but the police ignored him. They asked a few questions, took notes, and told me I could file a report if I wanted. As she stood there in shock, she tried to speak to me. "Ethan, please, it's not what it looks like." Her voice cracked, but I just looked at her, expressionless. The tears started falling down her cheeks as I turned away. There was nothing left to say. The officers escorted her out, and I watched the man she'd chosen over me stand there in the doorway looking helpless. I got into my car, started the engine, and drove away. No words. No goodbye. Just silence. When I got home, I sat on the edge of our bed. The same bed she'd shared with me. The same bed that now felt contaminated. I looked around at all the pictures on the walls, the smiles, the vacations, the little notes she used to leave for me. They all looked fake now. Everything felt like a lie. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat there in the dark, listening to the clock tick, wondering how someone could pretend to love you while secretly destroying you. The next morning, the sun rose, but it felt like my world was still covered in darkness. My eyes were red from crying. My chest ached like I'd been physically punched. But beneath the pain, there was something else. Clarity. For the first time in a long time, I saw things exactly as they were. There was no more denial, no more excuses. The woman I loved had betrayed me in the worst possible way, and I could either keep holding onto the pieces or finally let go. I got dressed, grabbed my folder of documents, and drove straight to my lawyer's office. He was a family friend, someone I trusted deeply. When I sat down, he looked at me and knew something was wrong. "Ethan," he said softly, "what happened?" I told him everything, every detail, from the text messages to the tracker to the police visit. He listened quietly, nodding slowly, his expression a mix of sadness and understanding. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair and said, "You know what you have to do." It hurt hearing those words, but I knew he was right. We started preparing the divorce papers that morning. It was surreal, watching someone type the end of your marriage into a document. I sat there, silent, listening to the sound of the keyboard clicking, each tap feeling like a nail in the coffin of what once was. When he handed me the papers to sign, my hands didn't shake this time. The pain was still there, but it was mixed with strength. I signed my name slowly, carefully, knowing there was no turning back. By noon, the papers were filed. I stepped outside the office, took a deep breath, and felt the weight begin to lift from my shoulders. For the first time in months, I felt free. Not happy, not yet, but free. I went back home to pack some of my things. When I opened the door, the house felt different. Empty, cold, but also peaceful. I could finally breathe without the constant fear of lies. My phone buzzed. It was her. She had been released after a few hours and was texting me nonstop. "Ethan, please, let's talk. I can explain everything. It was a mistake. I still love you." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Some people only regret losing you when they realize they can't control you anymore. I blocked her number and moved on. That evening, I sat alone on the balcony, watching the sunset. The sky was painted in shades of orange and pink, and for the first time in a long time, I noticed how beautiful it was. I realized that I had been so focused on keeping someone who didn't deserve me that I had forgotten how to appreciate peace. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Life slowly started to feel normal again. I focused on work, took up new hobbies, and spent time with friends I had neglected because of my marriage. Everyone knew what happened. Some pitied me, some admired me for how calmly I handled it. But I didn't want sympathy. I just wanted closure. One day, I got a letter in the mail. It was from her. I almost threw it away, but curiosity won. Inside, there was a handwritten note. Ethan, I know I don't deserve forgiveness. What I did was unforgivable. I was stupid, weak, and selfish. You were the best thing that ever happened to me, and I destroyed it. I'm sorry. I'll regret it forever. I folded the letter, placed it back in the envelope, and put it in a drawer. Not out of bitterness, but because I didn't need it anymore. Her apology couldn't fix what she broke. Time healed me slowly. I learned to smile again, to trust again, but more importantly, to love myself enough to never settle for less. I realized that sometimes life has to break you before it can rebuild you into someone stronger. 6 months later, I bumped into one of her old friends. She told me Lily had moved away trying to start over. She looked miserable, apparently. I just nodded and said, I hope she finds what she's looking for. Because at that point, I had already found what I needed, peace. Now, whenever I think about that night, I don't feel anger anymore. I feel gratitude, because that betrayal showed me the truth I needed to see. Taught me that real love never requires you to beg for honesty. And as I sit here writing this story, I know one thing for sure. Sometimes walking away isn't weakness. It's the strongest thing you can ever do. So if you're reading this and you're holding on to someone who lies, who cheats, who makes you feel less than you deserve, remember this. You can't heal in the same place that broke you. I walked away from my wife that night, and the next morning when I filed for divorce, I didn't just end a marriage. I freed myself from a lifetime of lies. And honestly, that's the best decision I ever made.